delivers on the expectation.
Welcome to the Humm Baby Baseball Channel, and today we present the 30 greatest home runs in San Francisco Giants history. This list was made by myself, a longtime San Francisco Giants fan, with some input from friends and followers of the channel. The order of the home runs is not as important as the home runs themselves, as each of these is a very special moment in its own way, but how special can change depending on the fan. That being said, when making this list, factors I considered include how historical the home run was, how directly it contributed to a championship, just how epic the home run was, including monster home runs, and whether it was such a rare and exciting home run that it's just memorable for that, even if it was just a regular season shot. So without further ado, let's get into this list of 30 of the most memorable home runs in San Francisco Giants history.
Pagan hits one high and deep to right. Kadire back. It is off the bottom of the wall, and it kicks away from everybody. Pagan is being waved in. Here's the throw to the plate. It is not in time, and that is the ball game.
A home run early in the regular season does not get much more exciting than that. Unless, maybe it's on opening day. And maybe a player hits not one, but 2 home runs. And maybe that player also happens to be a pitcher. And that's exactly what happened on opening day 2017 in a tie game. It was the 7th inning. Bruce Bochy decided to let Madison Bumgarner, who had already hit a home run earlier in the game, hit for himself. And he didn't regret it.
It's a 2-0. High drive! Left field! It is out of here! He's done it again! And I think even D-backs fans have to applaud this one. My goodness.
Lead the league in home runs.
Other than opening day, another special game on every fan's calendar is the All-Star Game. And in 1969, it took place at the nation's capital in Washington, D.C. In the game, a San Francisco Giants legend hit 2 home runs and took home the MVP. His name? Willie McCovey.
The National League flexes its muscles in the 3rd inning, scoring 5 runs. The big blow is Willie McCovey's home run with Hank Aaron on. The National League, way out in front.
What a blast by one of the greatest hitters to ever wear a San Francisco Giants uniform. But not every great hitter who wore a Giants uniform did it for as long as McCovey did. Andrew McCutchen will likely go down in history as one of the greatest Pirates to play the game. But he didn't even play a full year with San Francisco before being traded to the Yankees. But while he was a Giant, he made the most of it. And on April 7th, 2017, the Giants were in an extra inning game against the Dodgers. After taking the lead in the top of the 14th, the Giants had to do something big in the bottom half. Kelby Tomlinson and Joe Panik both reached base, and up stepped Andrew McCutchen, facing nasty reliever Wilmer Font, and after a 12-pitch battle, McCutchen won.
Buster Posey watching on deck, the 2-2 pitch. High drive! Left field! It is out of here! His 6th hit of the night sends everybody home.
And that's far from the last extra inning home run against the Dodgers on this list. Up next is Robbie Thompson, who spent his entire 11-year career in a Giants uniform. His home run happened in an incredible game on May 2nd, 1995. Making his major league debut that day was Japanese star Hideo Nomo, who baffled Giants hitters, kicking off Nomo Mania. But the Giants had an ace of their own on the mound with Mark Portugal, and he threw 7 scoreless innings. The bullpen for both teams was just as dominant, and the game stayed tied 0-0 into deep extra innings, until finally, in the top of the 15th inning, the Dodgers were able to break through and score 3 runs. In the bottom half, the Giants' chances seemed slim to none after the first two batters were retired. But then, after a walk and a base hit by Darren Lewis, the flame was still barely flickering as Robbie Thompson stepped up to the plate and did this.
Home plate. Here's the 1-0 pitch. And he hits one high to left field and deep. Going back at the wall.
Get out of here!
Out of here!
I don't believe it!
He tied it up! And the look on the Dodgers right now is unbelievable. To a man, they've got their head hanging.
And incredibly, the Giants were not done there. After a single by Barry Bonds, Matt Williams drove him in to win the game outright, stunning the Los Angeles Dodgers. Robbie Thompson would eventually be inducted into the San Francisco Giants Wall of Fame, where he joins San Francisco Giants legend Will Clark. Will the Thrill Clark made his heavily anticipated Major League debut in Houston at the Astrodome and had to immediately face one of the greatest pitchers known to man, Nolan Ryan. What a moment for a San Francisco Giants legend. But he wasn't the only one with a flair for dramatics. Barry Bonds is another, who made his debut with the Giants in 1993 after signing a huge free agent contract in the offseason. And his first at-bat as a Giant at Candlestick Park was something special.
That one's high, deep right field. This has a chance. Gone! Home run, Barry Bonds. First at bat before the new hometown fans.
It was a special moment for an incredible player who most Giants fans, myself included, believe should be in the Hall of Fame. But one former Giant who does have a plaque in the Hall of Fame is Joe Morgan, and in 1982 he connected for a game-winning home run against the arch-rival Los Angeles Dodgers. But this wasn't just any game-winning home run, it happened on the last day of the season, and although the Giants had already been eliminated from postseason contention, it knocked the Dodgers out as well.
The 1-2 pitch. Warren belts it high and deep right field. Way back goes Monday to the fence. It is gone. Home run, Joe Morgan. And the Giants lead the Dodgers 5-2.
5 years later, the Giants had another great year, and this time they made the playoffs, although they ultimately fell short of a World Series title. One of their great sluggers that year was named Jeffrey Leonard. He used to run the bases with one arm hanging motionless. It was called one flap down. Leonard homered in the first 3 games of the series and then came to the plate in Game 4 with the Giants down 2-1 and a runner on.
And he hits a fastball in the air to left field. Coleman going back to the track, to the wall, leaps in the air. It's gone. Home run. He stopped too. Watch this trot.
Another great hitter for that 1987 team was Kevin Mitchell, who hit a dramatic game-tying home run in Game 5, which tied a record for the most home runs in a championship series at 9.
1982, Keeson and Vukovic went all the way. A drive into left center and deep. McGee with the shades down at the wall, gone.
What a moment for Kevin Mitchell, who 2 years later would win an MVP for the Giants, helping them again to get to the National League Championship Series, this time against the Chicago Cubs, where the next home run on the list took place in a pivotal Game 4, with the Giants leading the series 2-1. The game was tied in the bottom of the fifth when Will Clark doubled, bringing up Giants slugger Matt Williams. Williams looked at 11 pitches, fouling off 7 of them until he finally saw the one he liked.
3-2. Line down the left field line in the corner. Gone. Home run.
The Giants would go on to win that game and become 1989 National League champions. 25 years later, the Giants had a chance to be 2014 National League champions. But before they could even think about that, they had to win a one-game wildcard playoff, where they were matched up against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Both pitchers, Edinson Volquez of the Pirates and Madison Bumgarner of the Giants, looked solid until the top of the fourth, when the Giants rallied to load the bases. Up to the plate stepped Brandon Crawford, in a moment he won't soon forget.
And the curveball is hit high and deep to right field. It is gone! Brandon Crawford silences the crowd here in Pittsburgh with a grand slam.
The Giants would go on to win the game, a victory they would need to move on to the Division Series, the Championship Series, and then the World Series. But 2014 wasn't the only year for wildcard heroics. 2 years later, in 2016, the Giants, who had won a championship in 3 consecutive even years, looked to continue the streak. But first, they had to get through the New York Mets in a wildcard game for the ages. This time, the pitchers were Madison Bumgarner for the Giants and Noah Syndergaard for the Mets, both of whom were on their A game. Going into the ninth inning, the score remained 0-0, but the Mets went to the bullpen and brought in Jeurys Familia, who allowed a double and a walk, putting 2 men on for Connor Gillespie.
1-1. And a fly ball well hit right field. Bruce is back, turns, and it's gone! Connor Gillespie with a 3-run homer in the top of the ninth to give the Giants the lead.
It was all the Giants needed as Madison Bumgarner, one of the greatest pitchers in postseason history, finished off the shutout.
And the Giants win it. Behind the pitching of Madison Bumgarner and the ninth inning home run off the bat of Connor Gillespie, the Giants are moving on. They beat the Mets 3-0, and they're headed to Wrigley Field in what should be a fascinating series between the Giants and the Cubs.
Here's the pitch to Willie. Swung on, hit deep to left. That one is way back, way back, way back. Well, that's goodbye, number 600 for Willie Mays, and the bye-bye Baby Bonanza. And the Giants come to home plate to greet him. Number 600 for Mays. He hit it over the 370-foot mark. A standing ovation here in San Diego for Willie.
Here's the 2-1. Swing and a long one. This one is way back. It is out of here. 600. Shift is on for Bonds. Bonds hits one to left center field. He hits it well. Plesko back. It is out of here. Number 700 for Barry Bonds. Aaron, Ruth, and now Bonds, the 700 home run club, as Bonds steps on home plate, and listen to this crowd.
Although Willie Mays never did hit 700 home runs, he did hit 4 in one game, something neither Bonds, Hank, or the Babe ever were able to accomplish.
Who has hit 4 balls right on the nose today, 3 for homers and 1 a line drive for center. Now the 2-0 delivery, and Mays sends another one. Tell it, bye-bye, baby. Aaron doesn't even move. It's gone far up into the center field bleachers. Willie Mays has tied a record, 4 home runs in a game. The county stadium is going mad.
Jumping back into the 2014 playoff run, the Giants faced the Cardinals in the National League Championship Series. The Giants needed just one more win to clinch their ticket to the World Series for the 3rd straight even year. But the Cardinals were up 3-2 heading into the 8th. With time running out, Bruce Bochy decided to pinch hit for their ace Madison Bumgarner, and he called on the powerful Michael Morse to tie the game.
He would pinch run if Morse gets on the 1-1. That's hammered into left. Morse off the bench. Tie game.
Next, we go back to 2010, the year of the Giants' first World Series championship in San Francisco. But it would have never happened without some of the scrappiest underdogs in the league. It was a combination of supposedly washed-up veterans, young kids with hardly any experience, freaks, weirdos, and everything in between, including Dominican infielder Juan Uribe, a cousin of former San Francisco Giants shortstop Jose Uribe. Juan Uribe was monumental in helping the Giants make the playoffs after hitting multiple dramatic home runs during the September playoff push. And in Game 6 of the National League Championship Series against the Phillies, the game was tied in the 8th inning, and the Giants needed Uribe to hit another one.
If this game is important as it is. Here's Uribe flying one into right. Back at the wall. This ball is gone for a home run. Juan Uribe has gone deep. And with that, the San Francisco Giants lead Game 6 in the 8th. Just over the wall in right. And San Francisco has its first lead of the night.
It was a home run that sent the Giants to the World Series, where Uribe would be called on again in Game 1 against the Rangers and came through again with another big home run. He was certainly one of the many heroes in 2010. But there was one man who was a hero in each of the 3 championships, and it's a player without whom this list would not be complete, Buster Posey. And his home run happened in 2012 in Game 5 of the National League Division Series against the Reds. The Giants had incredibly come back from being down 0-2 in the series after losing the first 2 games in San Francisco and needing to win 3 consecutive games in Cincinnati. They won their first 2, and Buster Posey came to the plate in Game 5 with the bases loaded to ensure that they were going to win Game 5 as well.
Scudero at second, Sandoval at first, the pitch. There's a swing, a long high fly ball deep to left field, and upper deck! Goodbye! A grand slam for Buster Posey. The Giants have scored 6 in the 5th inning. In this elimination
The Giants went on to win that series and eventually made it back again to the World Series. But even though Buster Posey did help the Giants win their first 3 World Series in San Francisco, it certainly wasn't their first appearance. In addition to the 3-year dynasty, the San Francisco Giants also played in the 62, 89, and 2002 World Series. And it was in 2002 where Barry Bonds got his closest to winning the championship that he always wanted. Although it didn't work out in the end, he hit a home run in Game 2 that was a sight to see for everyone in attendance.
Ripped into right field. It's a 1-run game as Bonds gets his second of the series. You could see Salmon saying in the dugout, that's the furthest ball I've ever seen hit.
If there was ever another left-handed slugger with the San Francisco Giants who could match that kind of power, it had to be Willie McCovey. And he had an amazing blast of his own in the 1962 Fall Classic, where the Giants took on the New York Yankees. It was Game 2, an important game that the Giants needed after falling 6-2 in Game 1. Pitcher Jack Sanford provided the pitching with a 3-hit shutout, and Willie McCovey provided the power.
In the 7th, McCovey connects solidly with all his 200 pounds behind the swing. It's going, it's gone. The Giants lead 2-0.
There's a high drive deep into right center field to the big part of the ballpark. Number 71, and what a shot over the 421-foot marker. The deepest part of any ballpark in the National League. And Barry Bonds is now the home run king, number 71, and it was impressive. Because it is hosting the Bobby Bonds golf tournament back east. Barry comes out now for a curtain call in what is already the longest ovation in the short history of Pacific Bell Park.
Deals. And Bonds hits one high. Hits it deep. It is out of here. 756. Bonds stands alone. He is on top of the all-time home run list. What a special moment for Barry Bonds. And what a special moment for these fans here in San Francisco. There it is.
The next home run on the list was one of the most exciting and dramatic home runs in San Francisco Giants history. It was 1997, in yet another extra inning game against the Dodgers. But instead of it being April or May, this happened in September, and the Giants had their eyes on the playoffs after a terrible 1996 season. They weren't supposed to compete in 97. In fact, they weren't supposed to be any good at all in 97. But somehow, with just 11 games to play, the Giants stood one game out of first place, chasing none other than the Los Angeles Dodgers. Every game was crucial. Every pitch mattered. And on this particular night at Candlestick Park, the tension was indescribable. It was the bottom of the 12th inning. The game was tied 5-5. And up to bat stepped catcher Brian Johnson, who the Giants just recently picked up from Detroit in a trade. And here's what happened.
Brian Johnson 2 for 4 with a walk. And he hits one high to the left field and deep. Hollingsworth is back at the wall. It is out of here! And this one is over! And the National League West is tied!
It was a home run nobody in the stadium that day will ever forget. The Giants unsurprisingly went on to win the division that year, while the Dodgers had to settle for second place, also falling short of the wild card and going home. Now we move into the top 5 home runs, and the first one took place in an extra inning game, not against the Dodgers, but against the Washington Nationals, and it was Game 2 of the 2014 National League Division Series. The Nats were up 1-0 until the top of the ninth when the Giants were able to tie it up. Into extra innings the game went, and it went for a while, as Yusmeiro Petit shut the Nats down, throwing 6 innings of shutout baseball. And it wasn't until the top of the 18th inning when lightning finally struck, as Brandon Belt stepped up to the plate against Tanner Roark.
Even you're getting into it now.
Yeah.
Belt with a drive, hammered to deep right field, and that one is gone!
It was a game-winning home run for the Giants as Hunter Strickland picked up the save in the bottom half, and the Giants went on to win the series. Rewinding 4 years back to 2010 and the amazing Band of Misfits, one of the Giants' unlikely heroes was Cody Ross, a waiver pickup from the Marlins. It was Game 1 of the National League Championship Series. The Phillies sent their ace and future Hall of Famer Roy Halladay to the mound. He had not allowed a hit in the entire postseason. This streak finally ended when Cody Ross homered off him in the third, giving the Giants a 1-0 lead. But the Phillies quickly tied the game. Then in the fifth, with Halladay looking good again as usual, Ross came to the plate again. And to the shock of every Phillies fan in attendance, he did this again.
And he shoots one into left field. You called it home run, his second of the night. A confident hitter, and he has gone deep twice. 2-1 San Francisco here in the fifth. Wow. A 2-0 pitch, and Cody Ross, he should be smiling. His hitting in September got him on the roster. He's taken over right field. They kind of fell into him, the Giants, and he has ripped 2 here.
Ross would homer again in the next game and contribute throughout the series, eventually winning the National League Championship Series MVP trophy, helping send the Giants to the World Series, where another hero stepped up to help the Giants win a World Series and won himself a World Series MVP. It was Colombian shortstop Edgar Renteria, and it was Game 5. The Giants needed one more win to finally bring a World Series to San Francisco.
The 2-0 is hit high in the air to left center field. Back is Murphy on the run. 3-run home run Renteria. And a 3-0 San Francisco lead in the seventh.
You can understand pitching to him. I don't know about Renteria.
In game number 5, delivery was up, and Edgar Renteria took care of it.
It was all the Giants needed as they went on to win the game 3-1 and bring a world championship to San Francisco. Of course, no one knew it at the time, but the Giants were on their way to winning 2 more, with the next coming in 2012. The Giants were underdogs against the powerful Detroit Tigers, but in Game 1, the Giants showed no mercy by jumping all over starter Justin Verlander, while their own starter Barry Zito cruised along, baffling Tigers hitters. Pablo Sandoval, aka Panda, stunned Detroit fans by hitting 2 home runs off Verlander. Then in the 5th, after Detroit went to the bullpen, Pablo Sandoval made history.
Activated until the 3rd week of August. Into center, at the wall, another! Pablo Sandoval with a 3-homer game in World Series game number 1.
To finish off the list of 30 memorable San Francisco Giants home runs, we go to the final year of the dynasty. It was 2014. The Giants needed one more win to head to the World Series. But the game was tied going into the bottom of the ninth at AT&T Park. On the mound was Michael Wacha, and at the plate, and number one on the list of most memorable home runs in San Francisco Giants history, it wasn't Bonds or Mays, it wasn't Will Clark or Buster Posey, it was a journeyman originally drafted by the Giants who had spent 72 games in AAA that year and had bounced around 5 organizations in the last 2 years. His name, Travis Ishikawa.
Travis Ishikawa hits one into right. The Giants win the pennant. The Giants and Bruce Bochy been waiting for that home run ball, and it showed up here tonight.
It was a moment no fan who witnessed it will ever forget. And that's it for 30 of the most memorable home runs in San Francisco Giants history. It's just a small sample of the many amazing moments in the history of this wonderful organization. And as I watch home runs like these, I always wonder, who will be the next hero to be added to the list? Will it be one of the young stars rising through the ranks of the minor leagues, such as Joey Bart or Hunter Bishop? Or will it be someone whose name we haven't heard yet? Someone who will someday hit a dramatic home run late in a September game to propel the Giants to the playoffs and then to the World Series. Who will be the next Cody Ross or Edgar Renteria to hit that dramatic World Series home run, helping bring another championship to San Francisco? When will it happen, and who will it be? This is Humm Baby Baseball signing off. You all have a wonderful day, and as always, go Giants.